Good morning and Sairam. Firstly, I would like to thank the organizers for the 15th Global Forum on Humanitarian Medicine in Cardiology and Cardiac Surgery, Dr. Sean Shetty, Professor Kalangos, for giving me the opportunity to take part in this meeting. I would very much love to be in attending this meeting in person, but due to time constraints, I'll have to give my talk virtually. Uh, I've been given the task to talk on the cardiothoracic training in Asia, as my practice is predominantly congenital heart surgery. Uh, it is a bit of a tall order, but I have been involved in a training for cardiothoracic surgery in my country. So I hope to give you some information on the status of training in Asia. Now, before beginning, let me just share with you this publication that was came out in JTCVS a couple of years ago on the global geographical discrepancy in numerical distribution of cardiovascular surgeries and human resource development in South Asia. The reason why I want to share this particular slide is because South Asia is very prominent as it has got at least a quarter of the world's population, large land mass. If you look at the equity of distribution of cardiac surgical services, there is a huge discrepancy in South Asia as compared to those of the developed nations. So this is indeed a good standard to set why exactly is there a need to develop the cardiothoracic surgical training in Asia. If you look at the number of surgeons to the population in all five South Asian countries, if you look at the recommended WHO ratio for the population and a cardiac surgeon is supposed to be 150,000 population, at least one cardiac surgeon. But you can see the huge discrepancy that prevails many of the countries, including India, and this clearly shows that there is a acute shortage of personnel to provide the services in the specialty. So this comes to a point where what of paramount importance is that there is still a lack of a structured training program, and there is also a lack of positions that are available to be filled. And this is mainly due to a lack of interest in the new generation because many are looking into the work life balance, and that definitely takes its toll on enrollment into the specialty. So what really is needed now is to have an appropriate coordinated planning for having a good cardiothoracic surgical training in Asia. Now, for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to focus on the training that is currently available in the following regions. I have just divided them into West Asia, mainly focusing on Saudi Arabia, South Asia, Southeast Asia, and the Far. Now, let us look into some of the historical developments into to the training of cardiothoracic surgery in Asia. Now, if you look at uh, cardiothoracic surgery, started to slowly take its prominence after the Second World War. And at that time, most of the local doctors had gone overseas to get their training, mainly from North America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. And after the Second World War, there's been a significant influx of foreign medical missions uh, to various countries to facilitate the services for cardiothoracic surgery. And for example, like in South Korea, There have been a number of missions from the United States, starting from 1963, to perform open heart surgical procedures. And also in Bangladesh in 1981, a collaboration with Japan had started off their open heart surgery program. But if you look at the training per se, I would say that the countries that really started training, comprehensive training for cardiothoracic surgery, uh, Japan and India. The first cardiothoracic program in India was established in 1958 at the Christian Medical College by the American missionary surgeon Dr. Reeve H. Bent. And at that time, it was a three-year program, and it was mainly focused on thoracic surgery, as cardiac surgery was still in the infant stages in India. And after this, towards the late 60s and 70s, there were a number of national organizations being set up in different countries. For example, like in Japan, the Japanese Association for Thoracic Surgery was established in the 70s, and and they started to play an active role in providing the training for cardiothoracic surgery. In a similar manner, the Korean Society for Cardiovascular Surgery was also established in the 70s, and they too took an active part in providing the training for cardiothoracic surgery. Besides the national organizations, some countries had their own local health organizations, started taking proactive measures in setting up cardiothoracic training. For example, in Saudi Arabia. There was this Saudi Commission for Health Authorities set up in 1991, and they are not only involved in setting up the training programs for cardiothoracic surgery, but also for all the other specialties. And in India, besides the Medical Council of India that was playing a huge role in the initial postgraduate training programs, a national board of examinations was set up in 1975, and this particular organization was also playing a huge role in the cardiothoracic training in India. In Malaysia, for example, after many years and a number of deliberations, we finally managed to establish the Malaysian Board of Cardiothoracic Surgery just recently in 2014. And this was done in collaboration with the Academy of Medicine of Malaysia. And since the inception of the board, we have seen a huge progress in the in the cardiothoracic training in the country. And of course, as a part of an Asian society, the Asian Society for Cardiovascular and Thoracic Surgery has been playing a huge role in many educational activities since the 1970s. And recently, they have established the Asian Thoracic Academy, which in itself has started setting up a curriculum for thoracic surgery and with certification, and they plan to move from thoracic surgery to other specialties such as cardiac surgery and and congenital heart surgery. Besides this, there's been a significant interest in training for cardiothoracic surgery. This actually as a purpose of need. The reason being there were a number of national centers that were being established to facilitate the services for cardiothoracic surgery that came about since the late 70s. For example, the Philippines Heart Center was set up in 75, the Harapan Kita Hospital in Jakarta in 1985, our own institution, the Institute Jantung Negara in Kuala Lumpur in 1992, the Faisal Specialist Hospital and Research Center in 1975, and the National Institute for Cardiovascular Disease, Dhaka, in 1978. These institutes were set up for a purpose built for services provided for cardiothoracic surgery. And one of the priorities taken at the time, because due to lack of manpower, to set up training facilities within these organizations to promote training in the specialty. Now, in a nutshell, if you look at the training structure for cardiothoracic surgery in Asia, uh, I can broadly classify them into those programs that are having those countries that have a structured program and those that have a non-structured program. A non-structured program is that there is no real curriculum or a board or a training program for cardiothoracic surgery. It's basically general surgeons who are qualified to take up the specialty due to their interest will undergo some kind of an apprenticeship in specialty with some senior surgeon, and they are proclaimed as a trained cardiothoracic surgeon to provide service. This has been the way of training until recently in many countries in Asia. For example, even in Malaysia, we didn't have a structured training program for cardiothoracic surgery until about 12 years ago. And this is the way it has been. But now, recently, there's been a lot of structured programs that have come about in many parts of Asia. And structured programs in the past were mainly through some international links, because there have been many surgeons who had the interest in this specialty. They have gone to overseas and trained in the United Kingdom, United States, Canada, and Australia. And they have gone through a structured program in those countries, and having achieved that, they have come back to their parent countries to provide service. But locally, there have been two routes of training for cardiothoracic surgery. One is a general route, and the other one is a specific route. The general route is what been practiced in most parts of Asia, where the surgeons will have to undergo a formal training in general surgery, and upon completion of training in general surgery, they will move to a specialized training in cardiothoracic surgery. This may amount to a certification in cardiothoracic surgery, or it may be just a kind of accreditation that they are credentialed to perform as cardiothoracic surgeons. And besides this, there's also specifics to cardiothoracic surgery, where there are some countries where surgeons uh, uh, solely take up either cardiac surgery or thoracic surgery. So it is not a combined specialty, so it has become individualized specialties. And for example, countries like in Vietnam, there is a special, separate specialty of congenital heart surgery by itself, in the sense the surgeons do not have to go to a lengthy process of training in adult cardiac or thoracic surgery, but they can just go dive into the training for congenital heart surgery. So this shows that there is a lot of heterogeneity that exists in training for the specialty within Asia. Now, if you go into the specifics by the region, in South Asia, most of the countries have followed the route of doing also be anywhere between 2 to 3 years. Like in India, for example, you have two types of programs. One is the university-led programs, which amounts to a MCH qualification, and the other one is due through a national boards, which gives a diplomat of the national board in cardiothoracic surgery. And similarly, in Pakistan, they have their own a fellow of the College of Physicians and Surgeons in Pakistan. So they have their own qualification in general surgery and also for cardiothoracic surgery. In countries like Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, they only have a master's for general surgery, but basically the training in cardiothoracic surgery would give them the required amount of experience to perform as cardiothoracic surgeons with no formal qualification. Moving into Southeast Asia, Malaysia and Singapore has kind of followed the similar tracks for many years. We had two routes where surgeons do go for training overseas, like in USA, Canada, Australia, or United Kingdom, or they might take up the local program, which amounts to a general surgical program of for about 4 years, followed by a work experience about 3 years, and then they are credentialed to be performing as a cardiothoracic surgeons. This is until lately. Now we have structured programs that are available with the qualification for cardiothoracic surgery. Similarly, in countries like Finland and Indonesia, they too have the same policy of doing a general surgical qualification for 3 to 4 years, and then subsequently a training in cardiothoracic surgery for 2 to 3 years. The Philippines model has been mirroring that of the United States. The candidates in Philippines have to go for a 5-year residency in general surgery, then a 2 or a 3-year specialist program for cardiothoracic surgery. Vietnam is unique in the sense that the training can be very variable depending on the region. But what is mentioned that there is a compulsory training in general surgery, which really does not amount to any qualification that is provided. And then the trainees go through a structured training in cardiothoracic surgery as a work experience. And depending on their interests, they can either go into adult cardiac, pediatric, or thoracic surgery, and there's no formal qualification or examination for this. The Middle East, the only robust program that is available is in Saudi Arabia. In the past, the residency programs have been heavily built on their collaboration with North America and United Kingdom. Most of the trainees get their training through the residency programs in those countries, and then they come back to the native country to provide the service. But recently, the local program has been established, which is a 7-year training program, which comprises of a junior phase, which is 5 years. That includes a 3-year training in general surgery, a 2-year junior resident cardiothoracic surgery, and a senior resident cardiothoracic surgery for 2 years. And of course, there will be a subspecialty fellowship that is added that can be either done within the country or overseas. Now, in the Far East, as what Dr. Iyer had alluded, there's no real, information that is available from China. But what is evident is that in countries such as China, Japan, and Korea, they have separate training programs for cardiac surgery and thoracic surgery. So it's not a combined program. And China offers a master's in surgery for which is a 3-year program, or it can be a PhD led program for 3 years in cardiac surgery. Japan, for a long time, had a very structured training program where the trainees have to go through general surgical training for 3 years, and following which they have to go through the Japanese Board of Surgery exams. And upon qualification, they will go into either cardiovascular surgery or thoracic surgery, which would be another 3-year program upon which the Japanese board for cardiovascular surgery or thoracic surgery will conduct the exit exam and give them the necessary qualification. Korea is in a very unique situation in the sense that they do follow the same pattern of a separate cardiac and thoracic surgery program. But interestingly, their program does not entitle them to go through a training in general surgery. So it's a direct training into the cardiac specialty, which is a 4-year residency. So, what are the challenges that we currently face in cardiothoracic training in Asia? Now, what is evident from information that I've given so far is that there is a lack of standardization of curriculum and assessment. And you can see that there is a huge, significant heterogeneity that exists in training within the Asian countries. As you know, that the length of the programs differ, the evaluation methods differ. So we really don't have a uniform proficiency across all graduates within the continent. And other problem is this also leads to early specialization because some countries trainees take up the specialty very early, not really sure whether they are really into that particular specialty. And the workforce is inadequate, as you see from the information that I given to you in South Asia. We lack enough the trainers to provide the training for the younger generation, and there is also a lot of challenges that currently trainees face, like limited global opportunities because of restrictions in the developed nations to provide training for overseas candidates, and also within the country itself, as you know, the procedural complexity is increasing, and in many countries the decreasing case volumes can also be a challenge in training the younger generation. And many of the it is so diverse in infrastructure within Asia, and the resources are also very diverse. So these are also having a huge constraints for providing uniform training within all the countries in Asia. And another major issue is the constant brain drain, as many of the trained doctors within the Asian countries look for greener pastures as they move to developed nations, and that significantly takes a blow to training within the respective countries. And as cardiothoracic surgery remains one of the least diverse specialties, because the female and underrepresented minority trainees may face a lack of role models, mentorship, and experience, discrimination or harassment, creating additional barriers to entry and progression in the society in the specialty. And of course, not all training programs can have the might to provide the finances to provide the training for the younger generation. So this also takes its toll in providing a comprehensive training. And the current generation is always looking for a work-life balance, and demands which the specialty is not able to meet at the moment. And as I've already spoken to you about the gender and racial disparities that exist, and and one of the key problems that the Asian countries face is the mentorship and feedback quality, and that's something which is seriously of a shortcoming within the Asian countries, because the mentorship is is one who's supposed to be the key facilitator, and the quality will vary. And not excellent surgeons that we have in Asia will be the excellent teachers. So if you have a lack of a structured, high quality feedback and poor trainer-trainee interactions, can definitely impede the skill development and progression of the trainees for the training in this specialty. Now, this is something not very unique to Asia alone. If you look at the specialty training, also has taken some hit in the developed nation. Like, for example, this survey from the North American General Surgery residents, looking into the factors that affect the interest in cardiothoracic training. Many have expressed that the factors such as stress, the kind of workload, work-life balance, and many of them do not get adequate exposure to the specialty in their earlier years, and this kind of poses an impediment to their focus on taking up the specialty as a career. And also they are concerned about the perception of cardiac surgery can be is a dying specialty, as the interventionalists have taken a huge aggressive role in managing many of the cardiac diseases. And of course, the personalities that lie within the specialty of cardiothoracic surgery, that also can be a negative factor. And now, if you look at this particular slide that I have highlight to you from this is from the residency program in Korea, and Korea is one of the developed nations in Asia, which is similar to that of North America. And you can see in their programs itself, the number of available positions have kind of come down over the years. But having come down on the available positions, it is still very surprising to see that the number of residencies that have been taken up to fill even that reducing number of available positions is far less. So this really, is sending an alarm bell to many in the specialty, and is of a great concern as if we lose the young and brightest minds from enrolling to the specialty. So it is going to be a huge problem in the future for the development of this specialty. Now, this is a survey that was done for the trainees in India. This was a national survey for those trainees who are both in the MCH program and in the DIP&B program. And you can see that most of the trainees have enrolled into the specialty upon their own interest, and they all start getting into the specialty with the hope that they will be able to be successful cardiac surgeons and serve the people in the country. But when you look at the survey, it shows that nearly a quarter of the trainees are dissatisfied with the operative opportunities, and another third of them have been neutral on that, and it's about 45% of the trainees are satisfied. So this clearly shows that there is a lack of opportunities given, especially for the operating side of things, because cardiac surgery is a specialty. If the more you do, the better you get at it, and if that is seriously lacking, then definitely the enthusiasm starts to dwindle. And if you look at the number of hours that the trainees spend in the operating room, so if you can only a majority are still spending a less number of hours in the operating room compared to some who are probably working in well-established units get an exposure of more than 8 hours a day. And furthermore, this survey also showed that a number of trainees are dissatisfied as they do not get enough time for academic work, and this kind of also puts a dent into their enthusiasm to do better in the specialty. And many also do feel that by the time they are qualified in the specialty, they are not prepared to work independently, and this also has its negative impact of enrolling trainees into the specialty. This is a survey that was taken from the medical students' interest and perception of cardiothoracic surgery. There's something very interesting that I noted in this particular survey. Uh, at the outset, most of the medical students, when they get into medical school, I think the cardiothoracic surgery is the second most sought out specialty for many of the medical students. But once they get into the final year of medical studies, their interest seems to be slowly dwindling down in cardiac surgery, and many are slowly leaning towards other specialties like medicine or general surgery. So now, having taken the survey and looked into what is the reason of the dwindling interest, because many of us do feel that is it the long duration of training or the number of hours that needs to be put into the specialty. But interestingly, from the survey, it is shown that the number of hours for training and the years of training is really not the reason why the enthusiasm is dwindling. because many of the medical students feel that they do not have much of exposure to the specialty in their early years. So, because of that, by the time they complete their medical studies, they are really not sure whether they uh, would want to take this up as a specialty. So, probably what is something that really needs to be focused on is probably starting early by by engaging the medical students itself into the specialty, so that they will have more interest to in consideration to take up the specialty in the future. But the main factors that attract the medical students to the specialty is still what it has been for the last 60 over years. Because cardiac surgery, many feel is an intellectual challenge, and you get this chance to save people's life and make difference to people's lives. And it is a skill and artistic nature of the surgery that attracts many of the young minds, and you have the possibility of practicing globally, and also you have a huge opportunity to innovate and research. So these interests are still there in the young generations to take up the specialty, but it's probably we need to do something better to attract trainees to get into the specialty. So these are the list of suggestions that have been posed by many among the residents to improve the satisfaction and quality of training in the specialty. One of the main points were to have an early engagement for trainees to take up the specialty, and have a structured mentorship program, and setting realistic goals for training at the beginning of the program itself, and setting up some kind of a modular training program about which I will talk to you shortly, and the mandatory tracking of operating requirements, and also focusing on how the trainees can get a job in the future following their training. So, what are the future directions that one can look into to improve the training for cardiothoracic surgery in Asia? Is probably go on the lines of what is being adopted in North America, is to have this integrated curriculum for cardiovascular and thoracic surgery, which is now very attractive in North America. You can see that there is a huge proportion of candidates from medical school who want to enroll into cardiothoracic training. And this is a 6 year program that happens immediately after medical school. It is a program that kind of combines vascular surgery, cardiac surgery, and thoracic surgery. The advantage of getting into having an integrated curriculum is that you expose the candidates early, you give them flexibility of training so that they can either choose any of the specialties that they want to get into. And it also gives them the opportunity to get exposed to catheter-based interventions and complex procedures. And it gives them the flexibility of choosing their careers. Either they can go into vascular surgery, cardiac surgery, or thoracic surgery, which also amounts to a better job opportunities. But there are some disadvantages to this particular specialty, because this specialty is not fully integrated, because most of these trainees go under the route of vascular surgeons or vascular surgery. They have only very limited exposure to cardiac and thoracic surgery. So upon completion of their training, they will need some kind of time to become stable cardiac surgeons before practicing independently. And it's not practical to have this kind of program in all centers, because there may be centers that do not have some of the specialties. Then that can be a real challenge. But what it is evident right now is that the younger generation are quite keen on taking up this particular integrated program. And after having started this integrated program, you can see a sudden surge in the number of applicants for this specialty. And what is most important now, I believe, is that to have a modular training for cardiothoracic surgery, which means a proper structured training program. And the training program should be a competence oriented surgical training. This will encompass non technical skills such as medical expertise, communication, management, so on and so forth, and also the technical skills like having simulations, wet lab sessions, and focused training for the surgical specialties. So, in this manner, I think it would be more attractive to get the trainees to take up this specialty. Now, this integrated program has already started in many countries within Asia. India itself has now started a 6 year training program under the national board. Saudi Arabia has also got another 6 year program. Singapore has initiated a 6 year program too. Indonesia has also come about with an even shorter program, which is a 5 year program. And in Malaysia, the universities are now providing a 6 year integrated training program. Another key point is establishment of national curriculums, and I think this is something that is of very paramount importance. And many countries have established their own national curriculum. For example, in Saudi Arabia and in Malaysia too, we have our own national curriculum for cardiothoracic surgery. Now, if you look at the Malaysian training program, in the past, our training programs would go for at least 8 to 13 years. So it takes that number of years for a trainee to get into the program. So we are now kind of got out of it, and we have realized that these training programs are long and they don't have a structured curriculum, and we don't have any kind of formal tools that are available for assessment, and we don't have a governing body to accredit the programs. So what we have done now is we have established a Malaysian Board of Cardiothoracic Surgery in order to streamline the training for surgical training, so that we have strict entry requirements and the trainees go to a structured curriculum, and we can also incorporate subspecialties such as congenital heart surgery and thoracic surgery. So the Malaysian Board of Cardiothoracic Surgery was established along with the help of the Academy of Science of Malaysia and our Cardiothoracic Society. And we had a collaboration with international organizations such as the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, and along with the College of Surgeons of Hong Kong and the College of Surgeons Singapore. We have formed a quadripartite specialty board for cardiothoracic surgery. And this was the MOU that we signed between the Edinburgh College and the Academy of Medicine. And this is the conjoined board between Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, along with the Edinburgh College for the quadripartite board examinations for cardiothoracic surgery. So our current cardiothoracic program will have a core phase of training to acquire and develop the experience in the first 2 years. Then we have an intermediate phase training where you have to go through the modules of training in cardiac and thoracic surgery. And the final phase of training, which will have a completion through a board examination. And upon the 6 years completion, the candidates will get a certificate of completion of training. And upon achieving the number of required case experience, will get into the National Specialist Registry. So even for congenital heart surgery, upon completion, there will be a structured 2 year training program. This will also be reviewed by the National Specialist Registry, and they will receive a certificate of completion for training. And we also have developed international fellowship programs through international organizations such as the Children's Heart Link, a 2 year fellowship program for low and middle income country candidates. So we'll have a 2 year program between a year spent in Amrita Institute of Medical Science, Kochi, and in our institute for another year. Now, so far, we have in the last 10 years exponentially had a number of candidates that have come out of the program. We have about 41 candidates that have enrolled, and so far, about 28 candidates have come out of the program. We are able to identify trainees for congenital heart surgery, and they also started their training. And we also have trainees following their training in cardiothoracic surgery, getting into thoracic surgery. But of course, though the number of part trainees have increased, we still have limitations with the trainers and the centers that can provide the training. There are various international collaborations that have come about. the Global Council for Education in Congenital Heart Surgery, in collaboration with the World Society for Pediatric and Congenital Heart Surgeons, they are looking into possibilities of having an international accreditation for congenital heart surgery. And the mission of the Global Council is to have a standardized training and certification globally for the specialty of congenital heart surgery. And initial steps have been taken so far, and it's still a work in progress. And there was a publication that came out some years back on this, and we hope that this can really be something that can be moved forward in the near future. And of course, we have the Asian Thoracic Academy that is been initiated by the Asian Society for Cardiovascular and Thoracic Surgeons, and this is to nurture world-class thoracic surgeons. And they are the founding leaders of the Asian Thoracoscopic Surgery Education Program, and they have formally set up an Asian Board for Thoracic Surgery with a formal curriculum and certification. And one of the important things that we need to focus on currently in cardiothoracic training is to have a number of simulation training using high fidelity virtual reality technology and cadaveric labs. And we also have to, get our trainees early into robotics and minimally invasive surgery, as this is becoming the norm of practice, and also encourage our trainees to get catheter skills in the near future. So the future goals would be to have a gradual conversion from apprentice model to a more graded, accelerated model, and to have a structured program and certification and credentialing, and have a multi-institutional cooperation in resident training, and to keep an open access and a special impetus to knowledge acquisition and dissemination, both nationally and internationally. In conclusion, the development of cardiothoracic training in Asia has evolved dramatically, and there is a commitment to standardization, technological integration, and international collaboration to adapt to the changing landscape of healthcare. And there needs to be a huge focus on education and training, which is very crucial to maintain a high quality surgical care in the near future. Before concluding, I would like to take the opportunity to invite you all to the sixth KL IoT Symposium that's going to be held between the 23rd to 25th January next year. And we have a number of workshops and training sessions for trainees for IoT surgery. So I would urge you all to participate in this symposium. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to take part in this symposium. Bye.
Thank you, Shivakumar. That was a very detailed talk. Every time I had a question, you answered it in one of your slides. But are there any questions from the audience? I think I will say, being from North America, the I6 fellowships or residencies definitely have made a big difference in getting not only high talent, but more residents. There was a period of a few years where we had some unfilled fellowships that had never been seen before. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates over to Asia. And one other thing, for our I6s, it's just cardiac and thoracic. It's vascular is its own different pathway. So